of the week again, round 17 review, but there's so much to talk about and lots to fill in. I've been on a walk. I haven't slept in my own bed in the last couple of weeks because I've been travelling around Queenstown, Newcastle, Terrigal. Now I'm sitting up in the Darling. So sorry again to our footy nerds that I'm not in my little dungeon at home with my footy jumpers behind me. I'm sitting in the Darling downstairs in the foyer. And if you could actually see me, I actually walked past the reception this morning. They said, "Oh, up early this morning, sir." I said, "Yeah, I'm doing a podcast." And then our great producer Gabe goes, "Hey mate, there's all music in the background." So if you could see me, I'm in the corner and I've stole about 50 books to put them up in the
Are you
corner.
in the closet, lad? Just be honest. Cut a long story short. Are you in the closet? Because it looks weird as fuck.
Ma-
I'm telling you now,
I,
that casino's seen you in some closets
well,
before.
so what I'll do is when we finish today, I'll take a photo so Gabe can put it up and show you where I'm sitting. I'm on like a fluffy little couch and I'm sitting back here. But it's yeah,
I
but I'm
like it. It's
at the Darling.
creepy.
I've brought the family away. We went to Tronga Zoo yesterday. What was that storm that's about to hit, Gabe?
Yeah, there's
Cyclone,
just some hectic weather.
Cyclone Carney, I think it's called.
Yeah, Cyclone Pascabolski is about to hit. But there's so
Bro,
so
cut a
much.
long story short again. Talk to me about this walk. I want to hear about this walk. I haven't had the chance to chat to you, but obviously, yeah, I want to hear about it. The viewers want to hear about it. How the fuck are you feeling?
Yeah, I feel all right actually. It was a tough slog. So we left NRL headquarters last Wednesday at 5 a.m. So I met the crew. There's about 60 or 70 if there was. The RLPA, a few players, retired players were there, and then obviously a group of people that had been affected by brain cancer, some that were still going through treatment. So we got on the journey, walked to Circular Quay first, jumped on the ferry over to Manly, walked from Manly to Palm Beach, and then got on the ferry at Palm Beach to Adelong, and then we ventured all the way up through to near Terrigal. Got on the bus and then we camped at Terrigal at the hotel every night, and then went back to the starting point of each walk. So it was a bit over 150 k's, some long days,
Fuck.
some treacherous hours. I had my great mate Wade Graham with us. Me and him told some war stories and stuff like that. And as I've mentioned on here a few times, I've got my big walk coming up at the end of the year. So I did spend a bit of time walking on my own just to get a bit of a feeling of how it would be, and we're close to getting that sort of coming along, as we know that that's going to be a fair thing. And that walk was 3 days, and as we know, I'll mention little parts of mine. Mine's for 29 days. So my feet are actually all right. I've got two. All my toes are black. I've lost one toenail. No blisters,
So
which
what
is good.
did you eat? Did you eat on the way?
Yeah,
Like
no,
they
the
got
thing,
rations or
nah, it wasn't rations. You could pack whatever you wanted to do if you took your backpack. I didn't have a backpack, but the way it's ran, it's the fifth year doing it. It was unbelievably ran. Every checkpoint there was food. There was a coffee van there. There's a chalky milk van. If you jump on the things, you'll see all our stories. They had like all bags of lollies, just stuff to obviously fuel you to get you going. They had lunch for us at every second, like when it was lunch required, breakfast every morning. We didn't go on. They looked after us in every spot. Everything you needed, you got. So it was so good. They gave us they gave us everything. There was people massaging. There's a physio there.
yeah, right.
Rubs no tugs it was called. It wouldn't have been no good for you back in the day. It's his pretty cool business name actually. Rubs no tugs. He's a great fella. He had his work cut out, strapping blokes' ankles, popping blisters, stuff like that.
Fuck.
But
How
mate,
many people, Toddy?
there would have
How
been
many
about
people were
70. There would have
70?
been 70 people done the walk. And obviously after the first day, you saw him a bit battered because you've never done it before. And
Yeah.
then the people that have been affected by brain cancer or or knew people of it shared their story every morning before we started walking, and we're whinging about a little cramp or a sore foot or swollen knee, and then they talk about their journeys of brain cancer. It just the thought of your feelings just goes straight out. It gets pushed straight to them of what they would be feeling like. It's like, well, I'm about to walk. Like, if they can do it, what they have to go through. It's like any disease, I guess, isn't it? And that's a big part of why I want to do my walk is that it's the suffering of the person, but also the family that has to go through it. And yes, the walk was hard, but nowhere near as hard as what they would have to go through as an individual or a family. So it was great. It was a great cause. Mark Hughes has done some great things. I think he's raised over $30 million over in since it started in 2013. He's got some bigger plans to do some more things, but just I had a bit of time to talk to him on the walk. He didn't do the whole walk, but sort of dropped in and sort of gave some inspiration along the way. Obviously, he has so many requirements being the face of it and the creator of it. And just listen to his passion and stuff. Blows your mind that how far he's come to even get to that position. One, obviously, getting through his own journey of brain cancer, but also two, to be there to be able to push and let everyone else give theirs in. So it's like anything when we talk about our stuff, our own issues. When a problem shared is a problem halved, even though their problem is real life problem and something that can take away their life in an instance. Where ours is different. We've obviously come over the other side, but they do say a problem shared is a problem halved. So it's a great initiative, and I guess that's why I've got the inspiration to want to do something similar to mine when we talk about our stuff, reboot and stuff. And that's the reason why everyone's. That's a good thing with the different people you speak to along the way, because you talk to different people. You don't just always stick with your crew. So it's so interesting that everyone's got a story to tell. And it doesn't always have to be negative, but a lot of the time when you do have discussions with people these days, everyone feels that they have to bring up their negative or something before they start talking about a positive. So it was a really good few days, and that's probably why I'm having a little bit of R&R in Sydney, even though the weather's about to hit. But usually when I'm in
Well
Sydney,
deserved.
I'm staying at your house. I've had to I've had to pull out the wallet and the muff flew out and book some
Pull out the
accommodation.
Rolls Royce. Pull out the Rolls Royce. Now you're sitting in the cupboard, fucking in the casino room, nice
Yeah.
and cozy,
Oh,
doing a
you won't do
podcast. But congratulations, brother. That sounds intense. To do that much walking, can't get my head around it. So I know you've obviously got the big one at the end of the year that you're going to give more insight into soon. But obviously you said Wade Graham, what a legend, great mate of yours. Would have been good to get close with Wado, I'm sure, on that walk as well. And so did both of you boys and other athletes have to speak while you were doing the walk? Like, did you have to hold court and do some
Nah,
vulnerability stuff, or was it just all just
nah,
chats on the walk while everyone was
yeah,
together?
just be a part of the journey, be a part of the team. It was literally just one foot in front of the other and just be there, support, listen to other people talk. It was sort of their time to talk about their story, which was amazing too, because like I said, while we were sitting there before we start each morning, jumping out of bed and getting yourself prepared to do it, because it's a battle. What they say is that brain cancer is a battle, and that's where we're feeling busted and bruised and ready to go for the next day. So it's more that part for us was just to show our support. I know the RLPA is a sponsor of the Mark Hughes Foundation, so that's probably the reason why. But it was good to talk to a few. Big Tommy Simons, obviously you played with him, I
Yeah.
played with him.
Champion.
Doing a great job at the RLPA. Clint Newton popped in for a little bit. Zane Tedavano, Joey Nullavow, and then a few of the ex-players that played with Mark Hughes, Adam Muir, Billy Peden.
Hertzy.
Yeah,
Champion.
they all spoke really fondly of you, Mitch. They said they love your time at Newcastle and the things you've done there at the great club.
Good boys. It's a great community up there. Those old boys up there. Adam Muir, I had a fair bit to do with him, or seen him knocking around Merriweather when I was living there, and Billy Peden, Mark Hughes. Mark Hughes, one of the best blokes in rugby league. Obviously, not only just for what he's doing now, but he's had respect ever since he was a player. But he's just a giver, isn't he? He's just a man of service, gives everyone his time, and it is honestly, it's out of this world, that charity and how much impact they've had, and obviously the reboot stuff that we're talking about. By no means we're crossing paths with people that are struggling with cancer or brain damage, that type of stuff, to that extent, but we've got our own little story, I suppose, around it, and it's something to strive for, to be of any impact similar to what they're doing. Would be, I know, man, you'd be pretty proud, wouldn't we? So,
100%. And that's what you listen to everyone's story. Everyone suffers in different ways, and it doesn't have to be one of these big diseases to make a change. Obviously, ours is, and we know as young men or young teenagers through our journeys, is that there's the powerful ones at the moment out there is mental health, and we don't touch too much on that, but we will have an arm to us. But the big thing is ours is drugs and alcohol, and obviously just that self-worth and feeling not feeling wanted, but just knowing that there's a challenge in front of you and how to deal with it properly, instead of choosing something that's going to take away not mask the pain either, take away the thoughts and feelings of the negative ones that you have along the way in anything, while you're playing or when you finish playing, and then obviously tapping into the next part of people's lives and how to make them feel better.
Awesome, brother.
How
You
you
got ice
going?
on your feet now?
I've got ice on my feet. I've got blood in my veins. I'm ready to rock and roll.
Oxygen in your lungs.
Yes. What are them sunnies? They're
What else?
cool.
Do you like them? I'm wearing blue, bro, because obviously we're going to speak a bit about Origin later. I don't have any Blues jerseys here. I don't have much blue, but a blue shirt and blue glasses, and I think they look kind of cool. So I just thought I'd rock it today, brother.
Takes away from the toucan.
Yeah, I know. Protects the toucan.
We've been getting a fair few comments about the European tan and the size of the beak on comments on Instagram too.
Yeah, I'm happy with
every comment section. How tan's Mitch?
Yeah, I'll cop that. The toucan's not a compliment, but I'll cop the tan. But blue, brother, we're not far away. What is it? 10 days? No, a week tomorrow.
The boys went into camp last night.
Week tomorrow.
Yeah, the boys would have went into camp last night, or Sunday night, sorry. Today's Tuesday, we've done a day later. But yeah, they would have went into camp, which is New South Wales camps, is exactly the same as the last game. Obviously, there's been big talk around Katoa that will get a taste of what it's like to be in Origin camp, because I'm sure in some point in his career he'll taste Origin. Kiraz is named official of 18th man, so that's really good for him. But obviously, let's talk about the enemies first. The big great Papalii comes out of retirement, retirement to fill into the Queensland team. Shibasaki is named in the centres, which is an unbelievable story. Only 18 months ago, he was doing a training trial at the Townsville Blackhawks, and then finds his way into the Brisbane Broncos team through hard work and determination, and it just shows. And I know when we have our special guests on this show, we try and drop some gems. This isn't a gem that you don't have to say anything about anything, or it's through hard work and determination. If you focus on something and give yourself an opportunity to believe and have a crack, you don't know what's around the next day. And this is proof of it. Shibasaki wasn't even going to be a chance in any predicted lineup for the Broncos this year, and he's now will be playing Origin, coming up against one of the best centres in the world. So well done to him. Obviously, there's some changes. I like the change for obviously Papalii. I spoke about it after game one, that what I thought Queensland would need to do in game two to beat the power of New South Wales forward pack, and that was to bring him out of retirement. They've done it a game later. Obviously, it's a decider, so the big one's on the line. I'm still up in there. I thought Reece Walsh probably would have been picked, but I reckon Billy would have had a chat to him and asked him open and honestly how his knee's feeling, if he's 100%. No, I don't know Reece too much, but I'm sure he would have said to him that, because you can see he's probably at about 85, 90%. And you can't have that going into a decider. And what scares me about the Hammer being a fullback is what he done on the weekend. 4 tries in his 100th NRL game.
Fuck, what about his
Uh,
speed, bruh? That
yeah,
try.
so it's set for a juicy clash in 2 Wednesdays' time. But I can't wait for it. How do you feel about the Queensland team, and what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I was happy for Shibasaki. I actually played with Shibasaki in Newcastle. So in 2020, he came over on loan from the Broncos through COVID year, and I was defended like he was my centre on the right for a few games. I loved him as a player back then. He was always that kind of guy that, I don't know if it was a confidence thing. Probably was. Doubted himself a little bit, so he sort of found himself in and out of first grade, as you said, jumping from club to club, and then something's clicked. And as you said, never shut the gate on your career or decisions in life, because when the time's right and you believe in yourself, things open up. And he's just such a good story. And he's been unbelievable. He got 2 tries again for the Broncos on the weekend, but he's been almost Adam Reynolds' go-to man on that left edge. So he's definitely deserved his spot. And full credit to Billy Slater. Like, he got the result in game 2 and he made some big changes, put his balls on the line, obviously with Dearden, and dropped his captain. And he's now got Rob Toya and Shibasaki in the centres, 2 rookies. Like, that takes enormous confidence. And then even to obviously get Papalii back. I think the Papalii decision's an emotional one. Historically, Queensland have always gone for that, don't want to compare it to that Alfie Langer, but Alfie Langer coming back from Super League back in the day, they've had that. They've always enjoyed a storyline, and I feel like their whole state gets behind the storyline. And so I think as much as he's playing good footy and he deserves the spot, there's been talk about Papalii getting picked anyway. I think it's more of an emotional decision from Slater.
You hit the nail on the head, Mitch. I reckon it's the same with Shibasaki too. I reckon it's drumming up the narrative for all these great stories to put some emotion in the team.
Yeah, well, this is what they do, and we hate admitting it, but let's be honest, Billy Slater knows, winning more than any of us and nearly more than anyone. Grand finals, Origins, Australia. He knows how to tap into emotion and what's the right thing. So from a New South Wales fan, obviously, and ex-player, it's a bit of a scary thought, because it's a big decision, but he's obviously thought this out and he knows what makes his players tick. So he obviously realises Papali's, for me, I don't know, have you had much to do with Papalii, Toddy? Did you play with him?
No.
From all reports, he's the father figure. He's that leader. He's the community guy. Everyone loves him. He's one of the greats of Canberra. I know Elliot Whitehead speaking to him over here. They all speak glowingly. I'm sure Jared Croker spoke to you about him. But, he's the leader. He's the galvaniser. So, it's clearly, from my point of view, an emotional decision. And, I just think it's a huge call, but there's method to the madness. And we've got to be on, that's for sure. But one thing that's given me confidence is even possession. We're going to be too good, too strong, too good in the halves. And Ashley Klein's had the meeting with Laurie Daly, Toddy. So I'm putting all my eggs in the basket. I can cop criticism, but we're going to win the penalty count. There you go.
We'll win the penalty count.
I'll put a bet on you, Gabe. There's a bet on $100 if I win or you. I'll give you $100, Gabe, if we lose the penalty count. There you go.
Okay, if there's nothing in my favour, I'll take it, 100%.
Yeah, that's how confident I am. I get nothing back, but I'll give you $100 if we.
Oh well, I hope Blues win and we lose a penalty count now. There we go.
Yeah, there we go. You fucking turncoat, see?
I said I hope Blues win and we lose the penalty count.
Little carrot, you start rolling.
Open your ears.
Yeah, I'll give you $100 if we lose the penalty count.
Let's not talking about turncoats trying to fucking wear your blue shirt and shit now. In game 1, you were going against for Queensland.
Yeah, trying to weasel his way out of this whole season though.
Yeah. Right. He's good.
Home ground, dry track. Go the Blues!
Boys, do you think I love the storyline too? But did anyone else have their eye on Shibasaki? He's been playing great footy, but I don't think anyone besides Billy Slater probably had him in this team.
Can you give me other options?
I had
Who else did they have?
I had Reece Walsh. I had him kicking Reece Walsh at fullback and Murray Tuolungi on the wing.
Yeah,
Uh,
Tuolangi was the one that I was hearing.
that's where I
He's
would
been
have
scoring
went.
every week.
That's what I thought would have been the logical one, but obviously, as you just said, Gabe, you just put it perfectly. I don't think anyone would have thought of that. I think Gammett would have even thought about it. He wouldn't have been laying in bed thinking, "Oh, geez, I'm going to play Origin." When they seen Carter Ponga go down, it was only Billy, and as Piercy mentioned before, there's a method to Billy's madness in different parts. The Papalii one is the same thing. Will take a lot of headlines, but also he knows he's that person. He'll get in there and he'll talk about what it means to him. He'll write on emotion. It's his last year in the NRL. Apparently he's going to the Super League next year. So talk about finishing. He'll leave nothing in the tank, which is no player will leave anything in the tank in Origin. But there's some storylines now that they will galvanise each
Mm.
other off. But I think New South Wales, well, let's have a chat about the New South Wales team, obviously unchanged, which is perfect. There was concerns about Nathan. He went out and put them concerns to bed on Thursday, Friday night, playing against on the weekend, playing against the Doggies. Um, but it's going to be a juicy clash. But as you said, fair possession within the penalty count, home ground. I think New South Wales get the job done, but I think their threat across the park is going to be continued to be too good, but it's going to be one back in the middle. It's going to be a dogfight through the middle. We're not going to have it our own way all the time with how Queensland, obviously, it's back to even level pegging. There's no underdog or there's no real favourites now. I think the money should be $1.90, $1.90, and let's go head to head and winner takes all on the night. But it's set for a beautiful clash.
You know, you look a bit like at the moment, Toddy. Thomas Shelby.
Who?
Thomas Shelby
Peaky
off
Blinders.
Peaky Blinders.
Yeah, right.
I don't know.
I'd take that, mate. I'd take that.
Just that hat. Just when you were talking there, I just thought, who's this can't look like? Thomas Shelby.
You look
Was
like
he?
Elton John.
Oh, I'm happy with that. I feel
There's
like him. I'm feeling feelings like him too.
Oh, okay. The only controversial pick that the public seem to think, boys, for the Blues is Stefano keeping his spot. Do you have any issue with it? Do you think obviously there was that issue in game 2 where he stopped in the line, potentially cost Nathan a try. Are you happy? You know, I don't really like to shit on the Blues squad anyway, but is there someone that could have deserved it more than him? Besides Terrell May, probably. If we're going to circle back
Let's
to
bring
Terrell.
Terrell up again.
I think it would have been a perfect opportunity for Loz to bring Terrell May in, and it probably shows that I don't know if there's something else going on behind closed doors that is the reasoning behind Terrell still why he still hasn't been picked. Because I thought throughout the series he's probably continued to put his hand up week in week out. One probably is the knock is that his team's not featuring in the top 8. But Loz had an opportunity to do that, but obviously, I don't know Loz overly well, but when you talk to Loz, when we had him on as one of our guests, he's one of those blokes that he'll put faith in you to back up and try and do it again or to reclaim something, and he'll talk to Stefan about that you owe the group something for that little mishap because that probably cost him the game. It wasn't blatantly enough to play. He didn't play bad enough to just warrant to be dropped. But Loz would also have a reason why. It's not wouldn't be a massive change anyway because they don't get a lot of minutes off the bench. But I think
Apparently he played 30.
More than players. Go on, Toddy.
There you go.
I was just going to say, more than player swap, I think their conversation would have been about the stuff we spoke about. 10-0, what was it, 10-2 penalty count. How do we win back possession with the roster we got? They don't have to go and change anything, but get on the good side of the referee, win field position, and then all of a sudden the guys we're criticising or that copped a couple of bad scores in game 2, all of a sudden getting 9 out of 10s just off the back of field position and ball control and a better kicking game from the halves. So, yeah, I just don't think I'm happy with the team. Obviously, we spoke about potentially a Terrell coming in and all that sort of stuff. And you could definitely bring a player like a Olakawatu or a Terrell in, and I don't think it would change anything. Who?
Keon, Kalamatangi. He's the one that people are tossing up.
They'd all definitely add impact, but I just think if we get back to what we do best is complete, get good get on the right side of the referees, kick really well, a healthy Nathan Cleary, they'll all be playing out of their skin. They'll be coming off the back fence, off quick play of the balls, and good night, Queensland.
Yeah. Well, it's just stuff we have to talk about, but I think as you were saying, Mitch, like, I don't know. In my opinion, we didn't even really lose game 2. So why would you make a change?
Exactly right. And also, and not that they're always looking in the future, he's got the youth on his side, and obviously Stefan, he'll be there, he'll feature there for a long time if he continues to play well and continues to grow his game. Obviously, Keon Kalamatangi's been in Origin before, being out of Origin, and is now trying to reclaim his spot. So there's obviously a reason why he hasn't reclaimed his spot from last time he played Origin. They see a deficiency maybe that with in Origin that doesn't suit him. So they've gone with Stefan this time. They've worked with other players. Obviously, Mitch Barnett, obviously, he's injured. So they've gone with players that haven't been tested in Origin, where Keon has been tested, and maybe there's a reason why they haven't picked him, because something that happened. It's too far to go back and look into how he played in his time in Origin, but there might be a reason why. So they probably can see that small little error that Stefan made, but okay, there's always going to be opinions on who's in and who's out or what they would have. But at the end of the day, the coach makes that decision, and I'm riding with Laurie. I think I've got all faith in that the Blues win this game. One, because I believe they're a better team. They're not going to have to change too much. Queensland will have to change a lot again this week coming in. Obviously, talking about new players coming in, but also they're bringing in players that's done it before. But they'll be riding on an emotion. We'll be riding on just sheer brute strength and skill. Well, round 17 review. Here it is. Our first game of the weekend was the Panthers 8 over the Bulldogs 6, and if we had question marks on Nathan and how he was going to hold up if he was to play in Origin, it was put to bed in this game because he was in everything. It was one of those games that we spoke about it last week. That is the Panthers back and they need to continue to win games. And I think it was maybe 3 weeks ago we said, they need to win 8 from a certain amount of games to make finals. And when I looked at it on the day, I had this game. Well, they probably don't beat the Dogs, so they need to win another game. But they go out and beat the Dogs. It shows that they are now a premiership threat, because we've spoken about the Dogs all year for the last 17 or last 16 rounds that the Dogs are a premiership threat. So now the Panthers have beat them. Now, do we talk about that the Panthers are a genuine premiership threat?
Yeah, I think what a game it was. Obviously, 2 tries scored, 1 try from each team. I think both teams would have walked away believing that they can win the comp. I think the Bulldogs, because Penrith's been down a little bit, obviously now they're starting to find that premiership form. I think they're still a little bit off, but over the next couple of weeks, I think we're going to see that again. But I think even though the Bulldogs have been going well, I don't think they've had that grand final sort of intensity type game against the best of the best yet. And on the other night it was. And I think they came up trumps. I know they fell short in the game, but I think it's a huge win for them. And the things that they'll take away from that for the back end of the year to win a comp against the top 4 best of the best, that game will be something that they can draw back on. And so I thought both sides were great, but the difference in the end was our man Nathan Cleary. There's some huge contests. I thought McLean and Crichton were unbelievable. Obviously,
yeah, that was a great clash.
Crichton's obviously the main guy there, and the best of the best at the moment. But for McLean to step up and basically take him on head on was, I thought, a huge step forward for not only the whole team going into finals, but for him. Obviously, Nave Cleary's charge down at the end was the difference. He just keeps coming up with moments, doesn't he? Like, he can do it with the ball. He can chase points with his kicking game, passing game. And then this week, he just comes up with an effort under an injury cloud in a tight game when you need your best players to step up. It came back on Nathan again. So, it was a great game of footy. I thought it was the first time the Dogs have actually been challenged and had to step out of the box of their normal system. You know, they're normally coming up with enough points to win games, where this week, you know, they went to a few offloads, and then I think Penrith's defence and cover defence at times forced them into a bit of frantic footy, which they'll probably go back on and why they had to go to that to get the result. It's sort of, we haven't sort of seen them play that style, but it was due to Penrith's defence. But yeah, I thought, yeah, there's so many standouts. Tracy was great. Kiraz was great. McLean, as I said, was great. I thought that the changeover with Galvin and Sexton was an interesting one. Obviously, Sexton going into dummy half. We sort of spoke about how that combo is going to look with both of them in the squad. And I've got to say, they looked more dangerous when Galvin came on, no doubt. I think his creativity and the way he plays the full field, he's just got that little bit more natural ability. I love Sexton. I think Sexton's got them to where they are. And if they stuck at it with Sexton, I think there's still a really good chance. But obviously, Galvin just brings that something different. But I've got question marks about. I want Sexton in the squad because of his ability and he's a first grader and he's an NRL halfback. But I just think going to 9, I don't know how that looks. What do you think?
So if you're the coach, are you picking Galvin at 6 this week, and Galvin at 7 and Burt at 6?
I just reckon they need to either one. I'm happy with either one. I'm happy with either one at this point. I'm happy with either one. I just don't like the whole interchange thing. I think.
What do you mean? You can't be happy with either one because 3 doesn't fit into 2. There's only 2 positions to be played, so one of them has to go to the bench. So are you saying Sexton should start off the bench and then just go straight into 9 and not put any? Doesn't he just cover for the half spot, or because at the moment
I don't like Sexton at 9. I don't like Sexton at 9.
So that means you don't have him in the team at all.
Well, unfortunately, that's sort of the way it would look. I think they've got to stick with one or the other.
And Reid Marnie set up their only try. He's coming off, and he's a dangerous player too.
Well, that was my question to you. Is it time for Sexton to go?
I'm trying to be as honest as I can be. I'm saying I think Sexton, if they stuck with Sexton and decide to have Galvin sit out, they're not going to. This is the thing, and they've said they're not going to let Sexton let Galvin's play reserve grade. Not play. Well, then Galvin goes in for me. Galvin goes in.
Either that or they
Sexton comes out, unfortunately, because he's an NRL 7, and that's an unfortunate situation, but it's the trigger that Gus and Serrato have pulled, and as I said, I don't like the combo of them changing in. They're starting players or they're not in the squad, because I just don't like a Sexton at 9. I just think it's just like if me or you had to go to 9. I just think you're a makeshift middle that has to make a heap of tackles. I just don't think it is as effective for the team. And I think in big games, there's an opportunity for oppositions to spot you up, especially in a tight game like the Penrith and the Dogs game on the weekend. And as we know, grand finals, semi-finals, when it's just moments and scramble D and moments win the games, you can get exposed a little bit around the 9. But it was a great game of footy. I'll tell you what, I've seen a stat. Penrith have been completing over 86%. I think they were 90% the other night. They've been over 86% in their last 4 wins, which has obviously got them results. Over Eels, Tigers, Warriors, and then obviously Dogs on the weekend. So they're starting to find their groove. Like Penrith with Nathan Cleary and completing at 90%. Fuck, they're tough to beat.
The big thing I've noticed with Penrith is their line speed. Their line speed, their relentless pressure. So their kicking game is obviously on point because it's Nathan Cleary, but they're throwing a lot in the air. They're getting down there, not overly contesting every kick, but they're getting around the bloke catching the ball. And then the next 2 tackles, their line speed from A, B, C, and D. To the viewers who don't know, listeners don't know, that's the first 4 defenders from markers out, and they're flying out and making it personal. herding them back into the ruck and making it difficult for teams to find any space or any momentum. Yeah, so I was only talking about it to Wado yesterday. Is that the Panthers are now becoming a threat because yes, they're a younger group and some different players that haven't been there, but their key players still have been in that arena before. So the teams at the top will be looking because I'm not sure if they can make the top four, but if they get in there, the team that they'll be playing in the first week of finals will be looking over their shoulder and working out how to beat them because you don't want to give Penrith two shots at a premiership again.
They got Penrith has got the bye this week, I think, and then they got
Yeah.
all teams at the bottom of the ladder. All teams at the bottom of the ladder. Like there's they're a chance. Yeah, they're a chance to win in every game. Well, they haven't played Raiders yet, so Raiders is that's their scout. That's the one I reckon will set them up for a big final series. But the rest of the sides they're playing are bottom of the table teams, and they've already beat Broncos, Roosters, and Warriors. So sides that are in that top four, like they're fucking, mate, they're game on. And it's, as we say all the time, our man Nave Cleary, after we did that interview and knowing him a bit and just the legend he is, fuck, you can't write him off.
Can't write off champions, Mitch. You can't write them off. Well, our next game of the weekend was Manly 28 over the West Tigers 10. The Tigers, what's going on? We spoke
Yeah,
about
I thought
them.
this whole game.
They're always our second team. We always love talking about them. Like at the start of the year, I had so much hope for the Tigers to play finals. But now it's reversing again. Like if it continues to go that way, because I see improvement of teams below them, they're looking at another wooden spoon again.
They're not far off. They've won. So they've had 5 wins in the last. They've had 5 wins and 10 losses for the season.
Yeah.
And they've had six straight losses over the last 6 weeks, obviously. So they're in a world of hurt. I was actually surprised when I looked it up just before the show. 6 straight losses and only 5 wins for the year. I had an illusion the way we've been talking about the Tigers because we've seen more improvement in probably parts of their game. And obviously with Jerome and Terrell, Buller, they've had heaps of players getting compliments. I was surprised that they're in that much of a hole.
Yeah,
Like
same.
I feel like we've been positive about them. Even their last few losses, we've always seen the light. We've seen the hope, the improvement. But it's harsh to say. But if they keep losing the next few games, mate, they've got Buller out, Appy out next week. Jerome will be out with Origin. Obviously, Jerome didn't play on the weekend. That's their whole spine out over the next couple of weeks.
It's the talent. De Silva's just signed at Parramatta before June 30th, so he's gone.
Yep.
So it's tough days for the Tigers again. Like because as I said, there's been glimpses of improvement, but if they don't make the 8 and they continue to lose and then find themselves down the bottom of the ladder, they actually haven't improved. They haven't improved, and as you said, the unfortunate thing is their only way of winning off the back of Appy, Jerome, and Buller for me over the next few weeks. They're the only guys. Obviously, they're marquee guys. They're halves. They're the guys who are going to get them the results. If they're not on the field, 6 turns into 4. 6 losses might turn into 4 more losses in the next couple of weeks. But I thought Manly this game, the first 40 was a fucking horrible game of footy. I think both teams just didn't really find their groove, and obviously the talk around Turbo going to centre. I just want to say I hate seeing Turbo in the centres. I love him in big games in the centres, but a lot of the stuff he was doing was taking like those, and as they do now, centres having to take those play 2-3 carries straight into the middle of the meet. Like you talk about his injury, and I get it. He doesn't have to probably make the meters he has to cover on as much as at fullback and the fast twitch, but fuck, that's a tough carry when you're just constantly taking those play 2s into the meat of the defence. Like, what's worse on your body? I don't know. But if it's for saving your body, I just don't like seeing him. It's obviously he had that flick pass for the try.
Yeah, you don't see enough of him. He's not like, and I understand that they probably it's more looking to the future and stuff like that. But the future's not now. The Manly need to win games now, and I think for them to win games now, Turbo's the best option at fullback. Yes, Papalii will be there long-term future, but I like him at fullback. Yes, they're obviously concerned, worried about the load and things like that. But if you're worried about the load and concern so much, and then your results come, yes, they get a win on the weekend, so it gets pushed aside a little bit. But I'm with you. I like him at fullback. He becomes more of a threat. You can double. You can't mark him all the time in centres, but he's a battler. He wants to go out and win, so he's going to take those play one, play two carries where he probably doesn't need to at fullback, and that does put strain on his body. It's the impact. It takes him out of the game in different areas. Teams will work out ways to kick that it stops him from or brings him into the game first, just that basic one out carry. So they'll be trying to tee off on him, knowing that he's been moved to that position because they feel his body's not letting him play as well as he would like to at fullback. So I don't agree with it. But when you get a win, obviously it doesn't get spoken about as much. It takes pressure off obviously Seabell, and that's one thing I want to talk about in today's show is how many coaches are under pressure, and it'll get a bit of it'll get under people's skins. But I want us to have a chat about it because there's a fair few coaches out there waiting in the wings that will be obviously interested in jobs. But there's so many clubs under pressure at the moment that usually it's the coaches that fall first. So let's have a little discussion about it.
I'll tell you what, I love Siebes. I don't know if you saw his press conference, boys, but it was on the TV. I saw something popped up on socials. His comments about. He's obviously pre-scripted it, but I loved it. And I love Siebes. I had him as an assistant coach. Great bloke, great coach, good fun fella too. He's a champion, Siebes. But fuck, it was funny. He wrote basically they asked him about pressure, and he said, "Did you see it?" He said, "Pressure's overseas in Israel and Palestine.
Yeah.
World wars going on." He goes, "We're all going to die. What's pressure?" And I loved it. It was so scripted. He's obviously been speaking to a psychologist and they've got him in a good frame of mind. But I loved it. I read it and I went, you know what? Fucking overseas. Good chat. We're all going to die. And it is just footy.
Yeah, they can't
No,
say
it was well played.
It's actually genius.
It was well played. Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah.
It was well played. And it's true. But it's just you don't see coaches normally. I couldn't see Shane Flanagan saying that right now, put it that way.
Well, Cookie stepped up for him, I suppose, and
His son was outstanding. Hit him later.
Yeah.
But yeah, his coaches under the pump as we said last week. Obviously, coaches in the waiting are going to be licking their lips that there's an opportunity for them, and then some of these coaches, obviously Desi, Shane Flanagan, obviously got the win on the weekend, which took a bit of pressure off. But Siebes, I don't know. Manly's a funny team. Like they're definitely underachieving. Like you look at the roster on the weekend. They got their best team out there. Their best wins are out of this world at Four Pines Park, and then you see these other results. It's just two completely different teams. There's obviously some consistency, culture issue there, but in saying that, we went on about it last time. I think when we were talking about Cherry Evans, without being too harsh on Manly, they've struggled over the last 7 years to make finals and really attack those top 8 sides. So it's been a thing that's been there well before Siebes.
Very true.
Boys, do you still do you consider Turbo a game breaker anymore? Honestly,
100%. He shows enough in games. Like what we've got
has he broke a game this year?
He has. He does things in games, and we've got to understand is that.
Okay. Gabe, I don't want to be defending the bloke. Trust me.
He's been through a hell of a lot with the injuries, and
absolutely.
I think the more consistent games he gets under his belt, obviously having an origin period out this year, gets through this. If he can get through this year unscathed, obviously we've had this discussion before about is Turbo going to continue to be $1 million player when he comes off contract because of the injuries they've had? Would you sign him? Would you take the risk? If he gets through this season unscathed for the back end of this season and gets a whole preseason under his belt, I see a completely different Turbo next year. I reckon we see the Turbo.
But how many years do you say that in a row? I feel like I've heard that story over and over. You know what I mean?
100%. But that's why I said it. If we get through the back end of the year, but we don't know that. Yeah. So, but what I'm saying is at the moment he's tracking along nicely, and I don't want to be the curse, but he's tracking along. You can't set the world on fire every week. and I know we've had periods where he has before, but he's still toiling with the thoughts of his injuries and stuff like that. He's getting his body back to where it needs to be. So if he can get through this season, we see him back. They talk about him being in centres and stuff like that, but he'll force him to back in that fullback position, I reckon.
From my point of
the
view, to
take.
answer your question, Gabe, I don't think he'll ever get back to his absolute brilliant best, 100%, the genius Turbo, unless he gets the injury 100% and he gets rid of any head noise about worrying about it. Like, he'll still be a great player, and he's one of the best players that played with him and love him. He's one of our best ever, most talented players of all time. But I don't think he'll be 100% at his best for the rest of his career unless he can get the leg 100% right and also any worries around it, because it just limits him a little bit, limits his speed, obviously probably limits his training sessions, but belief, all that stuff. But let's just hope he can get it right. I'm sure he's tried everything. He's probably sat in a cupboard with a hat on like Toddy and tried to work out his deepest issues and soul searching and walked 150 kilometres to calm the head noise, but
well, that's the next
Thoughts
game.
with Turbo.
Toddy might have the answers for us.
Newcastle Knights up against the Canberra Raiders.
Oh, there's some noise up there.
22-18. And I tell you what, this is the game I walked to watch. And you know what? I'm going to have to be sad and say that I've had to watch the highlight because I was struggling to watch it. As soon as we had done our lap of the stadium, I jumped straight in an Uber back to the hotel because I was hurt and it was freezing cold. I didn't pack an extra set of clothes for the footy, so I didn't watch this game too closely. I watched bits and pieces in agony on the couch at the hotel. But what I did see before the game and what I love, and then obviously I bleed green. I love talking about. I seen Croaks before the game. I ran out and gave him a cuddle. He was doing their Kit Kats before the game, and just having a look at the Raiders group warming up and in and around their coaches watching. They've got a good presence at the moment, the Raiders. They've got that swagger of like, we're coming to places and we're coming to win. It's nearly to the point for me if the Raiders is that you expect them to win. Where before, sometimes when they play at home, they expect to win because it's a fortress down there in Canberra, it's cold. But now, going into games for me, because I love the Raiders, is that I'm disappointed if they lose. Obviously, I expected them to win against the Knights on the weekend. It was closer than I thought it would have been. But for me now, with the Raiders, is that I expect them to win each week.
Yeah, it's such a good way to put it, eh? You do. It's like your Melbournes and your top four sides. Warriors have got a bit of that about them as well this year, don't they? Where you expect them to win, and I think it's because defensively they're sound and they can score points from anywhere. And the two offloads in good ball on the weekend. One was Zach Hoskins. I can't remember who the one on the left was when Ethan Strange scored, but. Yeah, just that's what they do. The whole field, they just find ways to pop the ball out or short passing for opportunities. It's normally coming off the skipper and also Papalii there. But on the weekend, it was on their edges at the smaller halves defenders, and they played great. As you said, Knights came back. It was a bit of a weird one. I thought the Knights were, especially that first half, when nowhere even near the game, and then 4 points different. 4-point differential in the end there, which obviously gave the fans a bit of hope up in Newcastle. But KP's injury is obviously the big news. Fletcher Sharp as well. So the KP one's just shattering for every Knights fan, isn't it? Just totally shattering for any hope. It's sort of, they're saying the whole year, I think. I think it's a Liz Frank.
Yeah, right. Liz Frank.
I don't know if you've ever done one.
No, I've heard of
that he's...
Yeah. Yeah, it's a big one. There's obviously there's always that speculation about KP if he's going to be at the Knights still again next year, so he'll have a lot of time to sit back and assess the year. But it'll be a good look. Obviously, Fletcher's still a little bit away too with his injury. But yeah, it's a long road for
10-week recovery, 10 plus weeks for recovery for KP.
Yeah, it's going to be a long back.
Ethan Strange, Toddy.
No, he's the future Origin player. Ethan Strange. He's You know
Like,
what? And talking about seeing him before in warm-up, kicking, he's big. He's big.
is he?
Like we
Yeah, I was
talk
going to
about
say
Jack
that. Is he big?
White. He's a Jack White and build, which is a player I want to touch on when we talk about South
Yeah.
this morning. But yeah, they're all big. They're all thick and big. Canberra. They're on the Canberra milk again.
Mm.
They're not on the Canberra milk.
Do they
They're on
actually
the
drink?
line.
Do they drink it out of the? Do they drink it out of the cow like before training?
Back in the day, the lime milk that we used to at the games, they used to sell Canberra like Canberra lime milk.
Yeah, right.
There's an old yeah. But
Who's
yeah, for
milking
me
the
the
cow
Raiders,
out the front? Dave
me,
Ferner, my old mate Fernsey,
me,
is out there milking the
Fernsey,
cows.
Fernsey is on the Canberra
What a
milk. He's a
champion,
good.
Fernsey.
I catch up with Fernsey quite a bit actually. He works for South Sydney now, and they're our mother club for at Canberra, so they do all. They're on our jumper. So Fernsey comes up and has a look at our structures and systems at Canberra. Big shout out to the Canberra boys. They've gone 4 from 4 so far at the moment. We're now on a
How
break with
good.
school holidays, but the boys are going really well. I missed their game because I was on the walk, but well done to my Canberra boys. I know a few of them listen to it and they always hitting us up to get us on there. So when you do return, we might get a few of them, or I might don't get a few of them. We'll sit on the couch and chew the fat with them because there's some special kids amongst them. So well done to the Canberra boys. But yeah, the Raiders, mate. I just continued expecting to win.
Mm.
I went to a sports lunch, double dip on Sunday with Wado at Arbor Hotel. We done a talk about the Sharks Melbourne game, and a fan in there asked me who I've got a soft spot for and who I'd like to see win the competition. And it was the Raiders. Obviously, it was hard to say that because I was sitting in a group in front of Cronulla fans. I did enjoy my time at Cronulla, but when you're a kid that grew up in Goulburn, and all you want to do is play for the Raiders, and that's what I got to do. That's why I want to see the Raiders win a competition, and I truly now believe they can win a competition if they can stay fully fit and put pressure on teams. Because if they sit where they're gonna, they'll get a home semi, and they'll get two shots at it.
I know we always talk about Sticky and how much respect and love we got for him. Obviously, shout out to his son Jed for getting another try in the NRL. But you just talked about Canberra. If they're to get to a grand final, obviously 2019, they were a bee's dick off beating the Roosters. Sticky's success here at the Roosters in those back-to-back-to-back comps when he had Freddie and all the lads there. Origin success, Australian success. Even the last few years when Canberra's sort of always been that sort of, what do you call it, the underdog team where no one sort of gives them
Written
the
off. They've written
respect that
off the
they've.
start of season.
But they've been thereabouts, even within Sticky's grand final. Say, for example, he doesn't get it this year. So 2019 is his last one. In and around those last few years, he's with the roster he's got compared to some of these top sides, he's getting success year in, year out. And it's just worth noting because he sort of, you talk about your Bellamy's and your Trent Robinsons and Wayne Bennett's. Sticky's lasted the test of time, coached at every level, and with a side at Canberra, which I'm happy to say, in all respect, hasn't got the bargaining power and probably roster that all the top sides have had over the last few years. They've got a great roster now. But Sticky's had to do it the hard way at times, and geez, he's delivered. He has delivered year after year. They've had maybe one or two lean years. I think he had a little bit of a struggle at Parramatta when he left. But besides that, his coaching record and ability to bring up squads that aren't on paper talked about as much as the top four sides, he delivers. He
Well,
delivers year after year.
he's delivering with a group of players that he's nurtured himself. He's brought them up himself, obviously. And if you look at their fullback, KOH not wanted at Manly, comes to Canberra, finds his way into fullback. He didn't have it straight away. All of a sudden, he's one of the form players in the competition. Jamal Fogarty comes from the Titans, not wanted at the Titans, finds his way into a Ricky team. But then everyone else around that, the players, Tommy Starling, Hudson Young, Simpson Sungy, the blokes he's coming off the bench, Papalii, they've been there. Tarpon, he's been there. It's his group. He's players that he's had now for a long time that instill in things that Ricky instills into people when he has them in small parts. We got to do with him in Origin, so you know what he's like. And they say that he sometimes zaps energy out of people because how infectious he is and how much he wants them to thrive. But he's had this group of players for a long time now, so they've been tried and tested through his systems of pre-season, during the season, and now they're playing for him because they've withheld the pressure of what comes with Ricky, and that's pressure of him wanting to win. He's a winner. He rides every emotion on the sideline, so I'm sure he rides every emotion and everything at training. So these are players that's withheld all his I don't know what's the word, that the pressure that he puts on. They've withheld it, so now they've got on the other side of it. So they're riding the same emotions, and that's what I spoke about before the game. They've got a presence of go, well, we're coming to win. You've got to take it away from us. Not before it was like, okay, we're coming, we're going to try and win. No, we're coming to win now. It's opposite.
And
There's
as
a
we said,
presence
they've
there.
they've come from behind how many times in games this year? Like they've come from 12, 16 point first half, being behind on the scoreboard to winning games. So it just
Mm.
goes into what you say. They just know how to win. They know how to get themselves out of every situation. Good side.
The next game is the Brisbane Broncos 26 over the New Zealand Warriors 12, and some devastating news coming out of this game is that Luke Metcalf has done his ACL, so he'll be done for the season, which is a massive loss for the New Zealand Warriors. It's it's not great. It's just shattering for one Luke, because he was in such good form and he was on top of the Dally M medal before, went into closed doors, but he wouldn't be worried about that. He would have been worried about where the Warriors were going because they were becoming genuine premiership threats, and I feel that's just been taken away from them. They've got obviously Nathan's younger brother there. They've got Tanner Boyd there that will be able to fill the spot. Their reserve grade is going really well, but someone's going to have to come in and fill that spot for him. They've got some injuries, obviously, with Chance, Nick Klokstad at fullback is injured too. I think it's a tough time, tough period coming up for the Warriors. I don't think they'll fall out away, but they've got a tough cou- couple of months coming. Obviously, Luke won't feature at all this season, but I just want to give a shout out to him for won his season so far, and obviously he won't feature again. But wish him well in his recovery, and hopefully he can recapture the same form as he left with this year when he returns in 2026. But so devastating for the young bloke because he's been enormous and turned the club, well, not turned the club around because the club was in a good position, but gave hope to a club that was really struggling because the thought of them losing Sean Johnson through retirement, he gave them hope that there was a new kid on the block. So unfortunate times, but that's rugby league. So we wish you well, Luke.
Yeah, likewise, obviously disappointing. It was fucking fair hit, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was fucking fair hit when he done his knee. Like the impact, I think it was Jordan Ricky, maybe was it, Gabe? But fuck, he hit him hard. Off the ball, I think it was legal. But yeah, shattering and just shit for the game, as you said. He's been the star player all year and leading the Dally M's. Great opportunity to win a comp at the Warriors. So it is shattering. Obviously, Tamari Martin's there. You'd think he's possibly the option. I forgot about Nafe's brother, Jed, who's obviously been playing reserve grade. Has he been playing? I'm not sure. But
Bits and
he's
pieces,
obviously
yeah.
promising bits and pieces of reserve grade. So he's obviously promising. But yeah, Broncos 18-0 at half time. I thought Reno and Ezra Mann were outstanding. Shibasaki 2 tries, which has eventually got himself an origin start. So he was huge again. But there was a penalty about 10 minutes to go where the Warriors chose to run the ball instead of kicking for goal, which would have been a 6-point difference, I think it was. Obviously ended up getting held out, and then sort of the game slipped away. So there was opportunities within all that chaos. Obviously with Metcalf getting injured and everything like that, throws your side out. They still hung in there, especially like I said, coming back from 18-0 down. So it was a fair effort from the Warriors. I didn't think they were poor, but yeah, it's 2 back-to-back losses for them now, and 3 wins in a row for the Broncos. Broncos are
Mm.
in 5th. We spoke before about the Tigers and probably how we assumed that they were sort of going better than what they are as far as points and on the ladder. Well, I'm surprised the Broncos are at 5th. because of the.
Yeah, it's a bit
Well,
reverse, isn't it?
it's the work
Like,
that
it's
they
just
done
two
at the start
different.
of the
Like when I
season.
saw the Broncos are fifth, and I just feel like they're just. I feel like for
It
4
just
weeks
shows
ago,
how
before they had
tight
this little run of wins.
it shows how tight the ladder is
Yeah,
because
there's a couple.
we've been talking about the start of the season. For instance, the Panthers were 0-5 from the start of the year. And then
Yeah,
now they're sitting in the top eight. Like it's just so tight, and a couple of back-to-back wins and a bye here and there can slingshot you to near up the ladder, and that's what's happened with the Broncos. And they're not
can
flying
they
under
win
the
it,
radar
Toddy?
because uh, not yet, not yet. But they're
No.
flying under the radar in that part. It's talking about them. We've spoke about them on paper from the start of the year that they're a top four team. They're now starting to show that with where they're sitting on the ladder. I still got to think they've got some deficiencies in their games that they need to work on. But I believe they'll be there at the back end of the year, fighting for the competition. They'll play finals. We're only probably 5 weeks ago. I thought they were dead and buried. I thought their season was done. I was about to write them off because they just weren't
Mm.
producing when they got touched up by. Um, they got touched up by someone at home, and I just walked away from there because our commentator was like that their season was done. But 3 wins, Reece Walsh coming back, Renault, Ezra Mann's been really good for them, and after they
Benny
played
Hunt
that
soon too.
the game they played for the Black Dog Institute jumper is like it's flicked a switch in some of their players. Jordan
Mm.
Ricky's been really good for them. So I'm liking the Broncos. I don't believe it there yet. I could have egg in my face. I've had it plenty of times this year, but to answer your question now, I don't think they can win the competition, but they'll be thereabouts because they're doing enough at the moment. And their 3 wins, their last 3 games, he's been enormous.
Is there an observation you can make about, like, has anything changed in their play style, or does it just kind of come down to clicking and chemistry?
I reckon
I
Ezra's
don't
been
think
big,
that,
like
yeah,
underestimated. Ezra's been huge. Like he's come back in. I don't know how many weeks ago it was now, but ever since he come back, he got that. Yeah,
Just the
even I think
danger
that.
he offers?
Yeah, I reckon it's just a better balance, and obviously Madge as well. Like he's always going to get ups and downs
Hey,
performances while they sort of get used to him, and when there was a criticism around him at the start when Madge took over about how he's too hard on him, but all that shit wears off once you start winning. All the whinging about it's too
Ezra,
hard on us all of a sudden turns into results, and everyone goes, "Oh, how good's the coach?" Because he pushes us, and I think they're experiencing that now.
yeah. We've got to remember their
Ezra's
star
what?
fullback was out for a big period of time. Also, um, obviously Ben Hunt. There was a new combination there. Now Ezra's in. There's different dynamics now because Ezra's more of a run threat than Benny Hunt is. They're playing longer sides of the field where they're playing from 50 because that's the way that probably suits Ben and Renault. They weren't run threats, so they could easily deem the way they were playing. But now you've got obviously Reece, Renault, and Ezra. Obviously, Hunty will probably have to come off the bench and come through the middle, but that also opens it up too because if they're worried about them other three with their run threat or out the back, it just opens up the middle for Ben Hunt. We know what he does when he comes on during Origin or when he starts at Origin when there's tied legs through the middle. So the Broncos are going to become stronger when Benny Hunt comes back, which isn't too far off. But to answer your
Mm.
question, it's just down to that they're playing to their ability. They're playing to their potential of what they've got and what everyone expected at the start of the year. Like it was going to click at some point. Um, and the good thing about it is that I think they weathered the pressure, weathered the storm of all the pressure of the coach and all this other stuff. But now they've got a group that they've gone through that other side. The pressure's gone off the coach. The pressure's gone off now the players. They can just focus on being a good footy team because that's what they are. They've got a star-studded team. They're up here in Brisbane that they get everything they talk about. So they're flying the flag for the Queensland teams at the moment because at the start of the year that they were with the other two Queensland teams. So they'll be happy with where they're at, and they'll continue to get better if they can keep registering wins. And that's what they'll be saying. Let's just keep registering wins. Because if on their day, and I'm not flipping what I just said that they can't win a competition, if they can get a 9 out of 10 performance out of their better players on a big day, on a big stage in the grand final, they can win a game because they've got so
Mm.
many game breakers across the park. Um, Starting up front with Pat Carrigan and Payne Haas, it's a
Origin
starting
pack.
Australian
Mm.
Origin pack, Australian pack. Um, Renault's been there, done it before. Ezra Mayor's unfazed. Reece Walsh, the superstar. Shibasaki's about to get a taste of Origin, so he'll understand. He'll grow so much confidence from just having this game.
Stags built like a brick
Yeah,
shithouse.
win or lose, he'll
Who?
come through.
Stags.
Oh, I love him.
Win or lose, you'll come through this end of the series with so much confidence. You'll grow a leg in confidence. Benny Hunt will bring some more back through the middle. So yeah, they're a chance, the Broncos. But I've got worries about where the Warriors will go to now with Lukey out injured.
Yeah, it's a big one. I mean, it's just completely different style with Tavita Harris and Tamari Martin, isn't it? Like, there's not
Yeah.
that. Metcalf's just been such a good, that long game, kicking game, controlling. It's a big loss for him.
The next one on the weekend was the Dragons 34 over the Parramatta Eels 20. Young man Kyle Flanagan played a performance that he needed to take the pressure off himself and probably his dad. There's been a lot of pressure on Shane as the coach and pressure on Kyle as a half. But I thought on the weekend he done a really good job and got a really good win for their team. Obviously, he wasn't on his own. Some big players, obviously Lawson coming late. Tuapolatu was injured in warm up, I think it was.
Lawson.
Lawson scores the first two tries on the wing. Eels fought hard, but without Mitch Moses, they're like playing with one leg.
Yeah, it was. No, that's such a good win. Obviously, the week before, I felt like there was a bit of complacency. Dragons were red hot though. But Dragons from the start, talk about Flano. He's been copping a fair bit of stick. He got the try. He got a show and go on the right edge. He created heaps of space, playing really square for his outside for Gutho and for his outside men. So I thought he had a huge game. He competed well. He kept it simple. So yeah, he was the ringleader there. Obviously. It come down in the end to Zach Lomax's loose pass, Valentine Holmes try, and obviously the controversy around Josh Addo-Carr down that sideline, Toddy. And there's a bit of
Was he in or out?
a bit of conspiracy around why you. No, I think he was out. He scores there, it's game on, but there's obviously nah. Do you reckon that's what I was going to get at? There's a conspiracy about no captain's challenge on that type of stuff.
They didn't look at it. They did.
Do you think you can? You should be able to.
They didn't continue. They didn't go back. They didn't. I don't know. Who knows? But we don't want to attack the refs too much. Our Instagram will blow up. It blew up last
Yeah, but
time.
should you be able to pull? Should your captain be able to go
100%
and
you
pull
should
that
be able
up?
to. 100% you should. 100%. It's cost them the game. The game was on the line. They should have got out that tape measure you've got in front of you and went down along and just checked it out with if his boot was there. Or they should have on the sideline the snicker, in the cricket when the
Hold
red
on.
the snicker.
I got to measure the toucan. Wait up. Let's measure the toucan, bro.
It's bigger
Where is it there?
bigger than your old fella.
2 meters. 2 meters, my toucan. But no, it was crazy game. Two teams for me that aren't going to feature in the top 8, but two sides are exciting to watch, Dotty. But yeah, full credit to Flano. 3 HIAs in the game too. 3 HIAs. So I think there's going to be a few players sitting out next week. And I thought Cookie was good as well, and to give Cookie a rap, the old dog. You said Lawson, obviously Nathan Lawson had a huge game coming in as 18th man, but Cookie I thought was good as well. So
Yeah,
the Dragons make the 8.
No.
Nah. Yeah, I've sort of gone. I was pumping them up for a while there, and my dog are Dragons, but I don't think they can make the 8.
I don't think they can make that. They'll put pressure on teams, and if they can play like they did on the weekend and put in performances like that, they get better. But as you said, you just touched on it. It was a touch and go that the Eels could have clinched the win. One, the suspicious down the sideline, Josh had a car, but if that ball sticks instead, or they get that extra shot at it, Val Holmes runs on with it and takes it away. But there's a chance of getting beaten also. Could have been a whole lot more pressure on Flano this week, but rugby league, the beauty of it is
Is he
it's a long
gone?
time and you get yourself a win.
So if they don't make the eight,
I,
is Shane gone?
well, there's talk about it. There's talk about
Gabe?
fucking heaps of coaches being gone. I might go do my coach's accreditation to
Fuck.
put my hand up for a job.
So I'd rather walk to Newcastle and back than be a head coach.
Yeah, but it's a tough gig. It's a tough gig. No, they're both exciting teams.
Fullback was
I
good
like
again,
him
Toddy.
for.
Para.
He's a great player. In a few years' time, we'll see what the strengths of what roles he'll bring to Para. But at the moment, I think that De Silva's a good signing for him. I know when me and you sat down with Mitchell Moses on the potty, he had big raps on De Silva. So I see them being a whole different team next year. I'm not sure if Sandon Smith, they haven't announced that yet. If Sandon Smith is going to be six, but Isaiah Papalii does a good job there. He didn't obviously play there on the weekend because Dylan Brown was back. Um, but I'd like to see him get an opportunity if they weren't to sign a Sandon Smith. But you'll see, I reckon we'll see a whole different team next year. I think the sign of Jack DeBellin stiffens them up a little bit. Obviously, he's getting a little bit older in the tooth, but
Yeah.
I reckon he'll bring a bit of dynamics through the middle of the field and a little bit of toughness. Over to our next game, the man, the moment, we always keep talking about who will feature in Origin camp this week. Won't get a game unless there's an injury. Isaiah Katoa's Dolphins 50 over the Rabbits 28. They just continue to blow teams off the park. Absolute blow teams off the park. They leaked a few tries late, but Dolphins 50. The Hammer in his 100th game scores 4 tries. Fins up. My little fella loves doing
The
it. Fins
Finn.
up over the. Yeah, he was outstanding at fullback. But Katoa, inside, outside, you do it the best. Look in to play out to play in. Get to the fullback. He done it to
So
get
good was
through the
he?
front line, and then done it at the back line of the defence. He just
He's nearly as good as
he
I've
just
seen
shows.
it.
Yeah, someone said, "Where's he going to get to?" He's just going to continue to get better because he's. It just shows he must work on his game so much because um, he's adapting to different things. He gets inside pressure put on him, so he skips across the field to drop blokes under to take that inside pressure away from him. And then he squares up. He stops and starts to bring the defence to him, so then it gives space to Nicarima out the back, who they'll lose. But I thought when Kurt Donahue went to 6 on the weekend, he played really well because you've just got that freedom. Kurt's probably more of a runner than um, Cody. On the weekend, he came up with a great pass. So I wouldn't be surprised if they stick with Donahue at 6 moving forward.
Donovan
But
was
it's
outstanding. Yeah.
but Katoa, he's he's continued to amaze me.
What can you say that hasn't been said? Like,
Yeah, that's it. We talk about him so
yeah.
much,
Was
and
it two other?
uh,
Was the two other plays too? He obviously had the one that everyone's showing and reposting and talking about where he went through, but he had the tunnel ball to Herbie Farnworth in the second half, which was an unbelievable pass, and then he had the double pump was sort of a half an opportunity. He's rushed around and gone to the second receiver, sort of done like a touch footy double pump, and then found his centre. I think it was Farm. I think it was Farm. Or it might have been Nicarima when Nicarima went through and scored. But just he's got his hand in everything. So good to watch. And when they're putting 50 points on, he's the architect of it all. They've got such a good balance. I think Nicarima is going to be a bit of a loss, even though Donahue. I heard Donahue grew up playing 6. So he's a 5'8" coming through. So it's a healthy replacement. He obviously filled the role there when Jaden did his hamstring on the weekend. But yeah, like the Dolphins can score from yardage better than any other team in the comp. Like they got the best centers. I reckon Farmer's best center in the comp. You got Avarilla, Hammer, and then obviously the two halves. Like, they can just play from anywhere. And with the players they got out, we say it every week, but with the middles they got out, Flegler, Gilbert, Safidi, to have them out and then still be able to aim up physically, bash fuck out of teams, and then create enough ruck speed to play the footy they're playing. Unbelievable coaching and unbelievable players they got in the team. South, what do you think, Toddy? South were just, they look fatigued to me, come up with a lot of errors. Defensively, they were obviously poor. To leak that many points speaks for itself. 22-20 second half for South. So they won the second half. They clawed back, but inconsistency's been the issue for them all year.
Inconsistency, obviously injuries hurts. Obviously losing Cody again on the weekend. I think for me, I like Jack White and could play in the front row and he'll do a good job for you. I'd like to see him just stick with Jack White in 6 and let him control how he used to do at Canberra, hold his left side of the field, playing both sides of the field, but let Humphries sort of be the organiser and let Jacko sort of swing, dropping blokes under, playing at the back. He plays a little bit earlier, gets blokes moving, but he's got a big kick. Get him in the game, having a crack, can play short sides if he wants to. I think he's wasted in the centres. We talk about Turbo being wasted in the centres. Jacko's a battering ram in the centres because he doesn't get much ball anyway when he's in the centres. So I thought when he went to 6 on the weekend was why they clinched back and showed a bit of promise then late in the second half. So hopefully we see Jacko in the 6 jumper this weekend because Cody is out again with a hamstring, which is unfortunate. His body just keeps harping him. But yeah, for me, the Dolphins are way too good. South have obviously got a long road ahead of them. But it just comes down to the inconsistency, injuries. Bud Sullivan got injured on the weekend. He broke his leg, so he'll be out for the rest of the season. So he won't be featuring again for the Bunnies again this year. Obviously, they got Lewis Dodds sitting in reserve grade, probably looking at his flight
How's
back
that
to
man,
England.
Lewis? Where's Lewis?
Where are you, Lewis? But yeah, South. It's been a tough one. They'll continue to still win more games, but they're not going to. I don't think they'll feature at the back end. But yeah, if Wayne, if you're listening, I know you don't listen to our show. You wouldn't give a rat's ass about 6s and 7s, but if you do, keep Jacko at 6 and let him run the ship. Well, not run the ship actually. It's let him play Jack White's game how he used to at Canberra. The reason why. He got so many raps, won a Dally M at number 6. He's a great player and he's a great competitor and he won't die wondering. So well done, Jacko. I love you.
Yes,
Boys,
mate.
say you never watched NRL until this year. You knew nothing about it. If you were watching this season, would you like, just based on form, would you go Katoa's the best halfback in this game? Like this season, I reckon he's been better than Nathan. That's like on form. Obviously, time and all that stuff, and he's done it before, comes into it. In the context, obviously Nathan's a better player. But if you watch this season and if you didn't know any of the history of the game, I reckon you watch that and you go, Katoa's him.
I reckon you'd look at, if you knew the game, you'd say Nathan's still the best because of the way he controls the game. But as far as flamboyance and like brilliance, I'd probably go, he's the best young player in the game for sure. Because I don't think the whole year he's been brilliant. I think the last, he's a freak. Like, he's where he should be and way ahead of everyone. But I'm saying, I think he sort of started the year a little bit slower. Then he played some really good games, had a couple of off games, and then now he's found some really good form. He's in the journey of what he should be at his age, above everyone else. But you just asked me, would you think he's the best half? I'd still think on the good games Nathan's played, and then
you're looking at.
Yeah, I'd still say Nathan, but I mean, fuck. Exactly. As far as entertaining and the way he's starting to change the way players play, 100%. Everyone's starting to play their plays. I even saw Reno, and we've done this as halves. When someone's in red hot form, you go and watch all the other halves and try and implement different things that they're doing well into your own game. I saw Reno on the weekend even starting to do the double tempo step, and then so everyone's starting to copy Katoa. And you can't give him any more of a compliment. All the best halves the last 10 years, Renault, Nave Cleary, they're all watching Katoa now and going, well, fuck, how do we tempo like him? You can't get a bigger rap. So, yeah. He's the best half of the last month, no doubt, and he's one of the best halves in the game. But I still think my man Nath Cleary's he's the benchmark.
One player that would be putting their hands up to be in that question and put his hand to be a part of the conversation is our man Jerome Hughes. Is the team we're talking about next. Storm 30 over the Sharks 6. He's one player that will be putting his hand up to be in that conversation of the form halfback of the last month. He's been outstanding. He's outstanding again on the weekend for this Melbourne Storm. Late on the first try, gave a little bit of stick. There's a little bit of heat and a little bit of feeling in this game. There always is with the Sharks and the Storm. But yeah, Sharks just couldn't match it with the Storm. 30 points to 6. Same thing again. Lots of question marks coming out after the game about Nico and Trindle. Where they're at, are they going to play? They've fallen out of the top 8 for the first time this season. The Sharkies, and it's a tough road ahead for them. Do you see him playing finals this year, or is this season done?
No, I'll still give them hope, but I was just going to say before we said that, Jerome Hughes, what about when we talk about best halves? I don't know what it is with Jerome. Even we just left him out then. He's the best of the best.
I didn't.
So sorry, Jerome.
I didn't.
This is not what I think of you.
I didn't.
The conversation just come about who's the best half. And, yeah, I did. I just went straight to Nathan Cleary and I went comparing him and Katoa, where Jerome's been better than all of them. Over the course of the year, he's 100% been better than everyone. So sorry, Jerome, you're the best halfback consistently this year in the comp. So sorry for that, brother. But this for me. This game was the other Katoa the back rower. Katoa the back rower.
Fuck,
he was on fire, bro. Yeah. He was on fire.
He must
scoring
have the
tries
biggest
off
mitts.
kicks, punching holes. Got that first try.
Kick chase.
Oh,
Kick chase. Yeah, the first one through.
He's
First one outside of Trindle. Probably knew that there was a set play that the new Trindle would go for an intercept, and Jerome Hughes hits him, and Trindle does try and knock the ball down or try and gets the intercept, and he's seen running back, pointing at him, giving the finger. They're into Mulatalo.
They're into Mulatano, weren't
he
they?
gives a fair bit of stick.
Yeah.
Everyone was into each other. It was interesting how the game folded out, but obviously there's still one on the scoreboard, and the Sharkies just couldn't match it with them. Yeah, there's a fair bit of heat and a fair bit of talk going in behind the rocks, and when tries were getting scored, blokes yelling and then lipping off at each other. And
Well, if you remember the last game,
this was actually a really good game of footy.
The last game. Well, the last game they played, it was that close game, Melbourne Cronulla at Shark Park. Remember, and Mulatano done a dog shot or something, or Pappenhausen. One of them, but one of them dog shotted one or the other. I can't remember which one it was at the back end of the game. So they obviously talked it up. You can imagine Bellamy's probably got Mulatano's head in the preview, and just say go after this guy. But they got him. They got under his skin. They rattled him. Every kick pressure, every kick chase, they were picking him up and getting stuck into him and giving him a bit of extra attention. And Melbourne do that better than anyone. And it's all respect to Mulatano, I'm sure, as well. Obviously, maybe he was given a bit of lip, but he's a dangerous player for Cronulla. And they went after him. But Cronulla, Toddy, their good ball attack was pretty disappointing. Hines obviously had that little tap on, and Fa'alongo went the length of the field to score, but it just shows it was one moment in the game that led to a try, but it sort of shows for me where Cronulla's attack's at. It's erratic. It was very flat down in good ball. They didn't play with a depth and a composure that you'd expect or what you need to do against Melbourne's defence. And obviously that moment there from Hines where it was a sort of a make-up play, a bit of an erratic style of footy that led to a try. It sort of summed their game up. Sort of summed up their last few weeks. Sort of summed up their decline and their slide down the ladder. The kicking game lost them the game against the Broncos. They're up for a big lead, scoring points from everywhere, and then just couldn't kick them to death. Couldn't close the game out, and then on the weekend again, just struggled to game manage or adapt to the situation. So it's going to keep coming back on the halves, and we're hard on halves because we copped it ourselves, and we'd be saying the same thing about ourselves in videos if it was us. So we're just telling the truth about it. But they're going to have to work it out. And I can't blame the halves for the defensive issues. They're leaking way too many points. That's probably the biggest worry and scare for Cronulla. In the past few years when they've been in the top 4, defensively they've been solid. They just haven't been able to polish enough moments to win a comp, where now both attack and defence are suffering. So Fitzy's got a big job on his hands.
Yeah. Team that did swap their halves on the weekend back to their starting halves from the start of the season, but it was the Cowboys. Tommy Dearden and Jake Clifford in the halves, and Jackson Purdue went back to the centres and found a little bit of form for the Cowboys over the Titans 30, Titans 24. How did you see this one? Obviously, the Cows finally get a win. They've had a low. It was up and down this game. It was obviously the clash against the two of the, not the bottom teams, but they showed hope in different parts. But I thought they were a better look team with Cliffo and Deard in the halves and Purdy back to his back to the left centre. The Titans showed a little bit of fight, but just couldn't match it with the Cowboys.
Yeah, Drinkwater, too good. He's fucking so good.
Yeah. I speak about Drinkwater all the time, that if he plays a 9 out of 10 performance, the Cowboys are a fair chance of winning. And on the weekend, he plays a 10 out of 10 performance and they get a win.
Yeah, he just pops up everywhere. Support play, beautiful grubber. We spoke about that play from that wider percentage where Kalen Ponga was doing the week before, kicking for his back row. I think he kicked for Nene off that left foot. But he's got the complete game. As far as a good footballer, like, he obviously played Australian touch or something, did he? Because he plays like he's playing touch footy. Like, just graceful, throws the ball from anywhere. He's got the best vision. Any half opportunity, he's there in support. He's just a great footballer, and he was a difference for me. Dearden again, he's show and go for how short and stocky he is. Fuck, he can break tackles from anywhere, eh? Done it in Origin, played for Australia and done it. And then on the weekend again, just from halfway, just look in, look out, fucking boom, off the outside foot, breaking tackles, sets his up. He ended up setting Drinky up for one of his 3 tries. But yeah, it was close in the end. The Titans had an opportunity, 30 to 24 with about 10 seconds to go, and they had one last shot at the pie, but fell short. I thought Cowboys were the better side and deserved to win, but the Titans hung in there. But the good old Titans, eh? It's just they're getting used to being on the back end of big score lines, and
yeah,
they're going to be finishing early this year. They've got about probably 10 games left. They'll be on holidays, and they need to get some players back on board for next year.
Players back on board, and but it's obviously the pressure will continue to heap on them. But all they can do is find a bit of form for the back end of the year and take that pressure off Desi, because there's talk that they're going to stick with him and keep him there. So they need to work out what it is, and because I believe they've got the team to do it. I would like to see him give the young kid, Zane Harrison, a chance at the back end of the year. Give him a taste of first grade just to see what it's like, because it's easy to get through pre-season and look good, but I think you need to be tested on the big stage, and they've got nothing to lose. It won't shatter his confidence, because if they're not going to play finals, if you can get him out there and give him a taste of what it's like to be out there, I think it would help him.
They've got the team, don't they? Like, it's just they're in a world of hurt up there, the Titans. But can the Cowboys make the 8? How many points are they out of? No chance.
Cowboys are on 17, and Dolphins are in there with 18.
See what I mean?
So they're only 1 point out, really.
I won't.
Dearden goes on and wins Origin.
But above them's the Dragons, the Sharks, Manly, and Dolphins.
What did you say?
I see them beating those teams.
What did you just say?
On their day, they can. I said if
Dearden
Queensland
goes
go
on,
on, which they won't.
What did you?
Yeah, I just said if they do. They're not going to. I just said if they do.
Oh.
I said if they do.
It's in the back of your mind again.
Confident.
It's in the back of your mind again.
You must be tired. See, this fatigue's kicking in, bro. You've had a big few days. You're starting to get delirious.
I'm going to wrap the round 17 review up here, because Mitch is about to put himself in the shit to New South Wales fans again.
Please. Go the Blues. I'm in blue. I got blue sunnies on. Blue, 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 blue.